Okay, would like to graph y equal cosine of negative, just get a pen, cosine of negative x over 2 plus 2 up to 2 period. In last presentation, we looked at the sine of a negative angle, which we said all you have to do is factor out the negative and bring it to the coefficient, and that will do it. Now, if the cosine is negative, is the same thing as cosine of positive angle. So we could rewrite our function as cosine of x over 2 plus 2. Now, the first step always, we're going to write the general format, a, b, c, d. Let's identify the a. A is the coefficient of the cosine, which is 1, and b is going to be 1/2. And c is 0, and our d is just simply 2. The amplitude is absolute value of a, which is equal to the absolute value of 1, which is equal to 1. The period is 2 pi divided by absolute value of b, which is equal to 2 pi divided by 1/2, which is equal to 4 pi. Now, to find the period or the scales, what we need to do is we simply write down the period, which is 4 pi, and we divide it by 4, which is just going to be simply pi. Now, before doing the graph, all we have to do is we got to make sure to know the general format of the cosine function. So let's say that's our cosine function. That's 1 up and 1 down, and that's the cosine. And then we have to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So remember that's our y-axis and that's our x-axis. So cosine, it starts at its maximum point. Then it's going to go to the midline. Then it's going to go to the min. Coming back to the midline, ending at the maximum point. So it starts at the max and it's at the max. Ends at the max. Once we know this, then we could just go to our graph paper and we label it. Remember that we labeled our graph as 1 pi, and then after 1 pi, if you want 4 values, you could say 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. That's the labeling the x-axis. So let's remember 4 pi. Okay, so when we go here, we're just gonna write 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, and same thing on the left side, just with a negative sign. So once we are done with labeling our x and y axis, let's write down that's our y axis and that's our x axis. The first thing we have to pay attention is really the midpoint. The midpoint is 2, so we're going to go 2 up and just draw the line. And then same thing, going all the way, and the equation of the line is y equal to 2. That's our midline. From the midline, pay attention to your amplitude. The amplitude is really absolute value of 1. So that means from here, we're going to go up 1 and we're going to go down 1. So you're really, the range of this graph is going to be between 1 and 3. Okay. So you could think of this as your max, this is your min, and that's your midpoint. So remember, cosine starts at its max, and then it's going to go to the midline. Then it's going to go down to the min point, coming back to midpoint, and then ending at the max, just like the general graph. Once we do this, draw your line, your curve, cosine curve. Make sure it's not a straight line. And then if you want to do it up to 2 period, then we have to know now it's at the max, so it has to come down, and then it's going to go all the way to minimum point, and then coming back to midline, and then ending at the max point. So you could think of this as 2 parabolas. And that's 2 period, okay? From here to here is 1 period, and then all the way here we have 2 periods. This is it. just a recap for the graph, that whenever we do it, it's a good idea to find your scales. Once you find the scales, pay attention to your D all the time. From D, just look at your amplitude, and you have to know general shape of the graph. Thanks for watching. See you in the next presentation.